Okay, so this is my reaction to the video that we watched this Tuesday, and it was the Freakonomics video documentary or episode, whatever you want to refer to it as, that we watched in class, which was about 2 hours long, hosted by two co-hosts. And the interesting thing about Freakonomics is what they do is they take really basic scenarios and they break them down, make them really simple, really easy to understand, and they also challenge you to think about them in ways that you probably did not think of the first time, and they also apply them to real world scenarios. And this is my reaction to it. But it's hard to have one reaction throughout the entire thing because there are multiple scenarios. So the first scenario that I'll react to is the potty training video, which they talked about. The potty training scenario is what I mean. So what one of the co-hosts refers to is the fact that one of his daughters, she even knows what a potty is, but the problem, simple, she won't use it. And his wife tries over and over and fails, and he takes over because he's an economist, and economists know how to bribe people. They know how to find people's interests, and they know how to find what people like, what people want, and how people will react. So what he does is he makes the offer to her that every time she goes, she will receive M&Ms, which is what every kid likes, and it gives them the motivation to use the potty. And this starts off successful, according to him. It works for about 4 to 5 days before there's a problem. She then is able to go from not being able to control her bladder at all to now she can control it to where she only lets out a few drops, and then she asks for M&Ms. And the cycle repeats, so that way she can get more and more M&Ms without a practical reason. The lesson here, if you let people get used to a certain environment or a certain standard over time, then they will eventually find a way to abuse it. And they'll eventually find a way to be lazy, and they'll try and work around it. And my reaction, I mean, I thought about this, but I didn't really think about how it could be applied to work and how people if a boss is way too lenient over at the office and letting people slack off and not do their work and only come in on certain days or even not come in at all, then that lesson can really be applied. So it kind of shocked me how in-depth that can go. The second scenario that kind of strikes me as somewhat shocking to me, because I'm a little bit of a victim of this, is the name scenario. And this talks about how the way people are named in white and black culture will it determine how successful they'll be in life. And the basic video answer is no. And it really matters more like where you were raised and the environment. But it talks about how we as people, we stereotype like everything. It goes from someone drinking coffee in the morning to like, we think, oh my gosh, they're addicted, they can't go without coffee every day. Or just by one simple action, by like someone might say something and then we automatically jump to the stereotype, oh my gosh, they're so like this or they're so like that. But what the video says is that none of that really matters, and you can't really judge anything or anyone off of something like that, which, I don't know, sometimes I do that unknowingly. But it talks about like how in the end there are way more factors that go into it than just clearly thinking about it. And we can't just judge books by their cover, which my reaction is surprised, because there are so many times where I think of a person that has a name and I see someone with that name and I think I've had this experience or this relationship with that kind of person, so they must act like this. When the actual reality is I don't really know that person. I'm not really in a position to make a statement like that. And I don't know, my reaction is that I should be a little more cautious of the things that I say, mostly the things that I say and the things that I think sometimes, because sometimes I say a little too much at times, and I really need to watch that, especially in the workplace and in leadership. So the third and final scenario that I think, this is the most important one, is the scenario in the video where kids in high school, in 9th grade, I think is what it was, they will get a raise in money if they improve their grades, even from like their system was an E to a D, so like the worst of the worst to a D, which is passing. And what they found was that for one kid, this worked, but it took a really long time, and it took a lot of motivation from his parents and from himself, because he wanted to ride in the limo, which was a motive for him. But for another kid who just didn't really care and was already satisfied the way he was with the way he was living, it didn't really work. So his grades kind of went up, but then they just went back down because he fell back into a habit. And it worked out for most kids, but for some kids, they just didn't care enough, and they weren't able to improve enough to make the cutoff and earn their $50 bonus or get any form of reward. Which brings up a really, really important lesson from that topic from the video, is that different people have different motives for why they're chasing after goals and other various standards that they want. So basically, you can't always motivate everyone. Like in the video, the kid that failed, he was already happy with himself. He was happy with the friends that he had made. He was already happy with himself playing video games and just getting good enough grades to barely get by, or even retaking the year. He didn't really care, because all he had was his skateboard, his friends, his social life. He even said in the video he doesn't want to give up his social life to do something he doesn't want to do. And to him, education isn't really everything. So, and he said he'll go into like the military or figure something out. But for someone else, like a kid that doesn't have what they want, like let's say they want a new game console, they could be really, really motivated to get that new game console and work for their grades, or even to improve a relationship with a friend or their parents. Something as simple as that could motivate someone, but even $1 million in the world couldn't motivate someone else, because different people are run by different factors, different things of their life, and we can't really change that. And my reaction is very surprised, because I don't know, I figured money would be enough to make anyone chase after what they want. But for some people, doesn't matter what you give them. If they're happy the way they are, then they're not going to change, and we have to accept that. Overall, really interesting video, really interesting points to take away, and my overall reaction is shocked throughout the entire thing, and Freakonomics did a great job.